Good evening. Hi. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. And also, while I've got your attention, just thought I'd make you aware of a couple things happening. Programs we have this week, decluttering for the rest of us. I don't know what that means.
We should come back.
I guess it's for the people that need help cluttering, like us, like me. That's Thursday, April 3rd, from 6 to 7:30 at our Westgate branch. And then this weekend, we're having a puzzle and board game swap right here in this very room. Sunday from 1 to 2. You don't have to bring anything to swap if you're interested in seeing what games are brought in. So knock it off. No, I'm teasing.
We know each
We
other.
go back.
Well,
Larry and I go back. So, I've always wanted to say that to him. So. Anyway, I'm teasing. Okay, or am I? I don't know. Really, I've never wanted to, but here I just did. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce Larry Biederman.
Hello.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Sounding okay? Are we projecting? Sound good? Alrighty. Thank you. So, my title of this is Tourette Syndrome. Ask Me Anything. The library's title is Living with Tourette Syndrome: Awareness, Reflection, Questions, Answers. I'm going to hopefully accomplish all that. And when I say ask me anything, I mean it. I really do want your questions, because Tourette syndrome is the sort of thing where people are afraid to ask questions. No one wants to ask questions about somebody's disability, right? And when people do ask me questions, they are so timid and so shy. Can I ask you a question? Yes, you sure can. So at the end, I will be encouraging you to please ask those questions. Simple, complex, weird, ordinary, whatever. I really do want your questions. So thank you to Beth for having me and inviting me here. Thank you to the Ann Arbor District Library. Just quick warning, there's a few words that are just considered to be adult language. I have a few short video clips, and so, yeah, he's heard them. So there are some words that maybe should not be repeated if you're not an adult. Right. So, and that's my first. So I'm going to start out with something that I think will make us laugh to help get us in a festive mood here. So Marla and Drew have heard this video like 80 times in the past week as I've been getting it ready. So this is, whoops, we don't have sound.
Oh, so there isn't it.
Yep.
It's already been censored. The whole thing.
Yeah, I'll go back. Ready? Let me know when you're ready. Good? All righty. Still can't hear it.
We could put it in our own words. It'd be fun.
We're good?
Told you not to turn over there. I swear.
Payday?
I am.
Well, that's really fucking great!
Oh my God, do you have Tourette's too?
Oh my god! Do you have to?
Yes!
Oh god!
Please!
Please!
But I don't have ticks!
Oh fuck! Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah.
Meow.
I'm a cat. I respond to meows with quiet meow.
Oh, Mrs. Claus!
No!
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 Just fingernails.
God, I'm so glad you have such a great attitude about it.
I just think the life is too short to take seriously.
Yes! Yes!
Mrs. B! You have a great day, ma'am.
You too. I love it.
Alrighty, so that's somewhat of an extreme example that two people who have Tourette syndrome can actually kind of work off of each other and create somewhat of a domino effect. That even when two people who have Tourette's, yes, that actually does happen. That we can sort of like absorb each other's tics and go back and forth. But it's no big deal. It happens. It's fine. It's a funny laughable kind of thing. And so, as I said in the previous slide, yes, we can laugh with Tourette syndrome. I say a lot of really absurd things, and I tell people all the time, it is okay to laugh at the things that I say when I have a Tourette syndrome tic, because I say some really absurd things. And so it's okay to laugh at the absurdity of the things that I'm saying, because that's just normal and natural. And I know that when we do that, we're not laughing at my disability. So, all right, quick question for the audience. What do you know about Tourette's? Say anything you know. What do you know?
Uncontrollable.
Uncontrollable. Thank you. What else do you know about Tourette's? Urges. Yep, sure. Yep. Anything else? Tics. Yep. What else? Random. Yep, random.
Can be verbal and physical.
Can be verbal
Or
and physical.
one of the other.
Yep. Lots of variety. Yep. Anything else? Yeah.
Can be triggered by some emotional stuff.
Yes. Can be triggered. Might be triggered. Yep. Yep.
A lot of people, unlike you, grow out of it, and some people grow into it.
Some people grow out of it. Some don't. Yep. Yeah. A lot of the things with Tourette's is yes, no, and maybe. So that's a common thing. And so there's a lot of generalizations that may or may not be true for Tourette's. Good. Thank you.
To my knowledge, the person that has Tourette syndrome is aware of the tics that are happening as they happen.
Yes. Yeah. So the person who has Tourette's is aware of the tics as, yes, that's correct. I mean, and that is one of the most common questions I get is, do you know what you're saying? Do you know what you're doing? Yes, I know what I'm saying. I know what I'm doing. Just like any of you are aware of when you're sneezing or burping or belching or whatever, you are aware of those things. So I'm also aware of everything that I say and do. Yes, what were you gonna say?
Oh, okay. I was gonna say sometimes people do it in their sleep, but other times.
Yeah, well, you saw the slides ahead of time, so you would know that. I don't know. Sometimes it stops for some. Yes, no, and maybe. You know. So some people it stops when they sleep. Some people doesn't. I don't know, but I don't know what relative proportion there is about that. All right, cool. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. So my quick bio. I am originally from New Jersey. My accent has, yay, yay, New Jersey, right? So my New Jersey accent has subsided because I've been here in Michigan like more than 30-something years. I went to college, Binghamton, New York, then went to U of M. My mom, at a point in time in my life when my career was just in circles and going nowhere, and before I became a teacher, my mom said, do what you want to do, go where you want to go, be whatever you want to be, just don't be a teacher. She was a teacher, her dad was a teacher. And one day while I was volunteering at the Ann Arbor Hands-On Museum, doing science shows there, a random mom came up to me and just thought I was a teacher. I told her I wasn't. And she said, well, you're not a teacher? Well, you should be a teacher. And so I wound up listening to this random mother at the Ann Arbor Hands-On Museum, and eventually I became a teacher. And my mom, over time, grew accepting of the fact that I decided to become a teacher. So I've been a math and science teacher since 2001. I also teach religion, camp instructor, where I do lots of fun science stuff at camps. I have a part-time job as well as a crossing guard. I seem to just be accumulating lots of part-time jobs and side gigs. Yeah.
And you're on the board of the library.
I'll get to that too. That's coming soon. No, you're spoiling the punchline. No, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
I read your Wikipedia. I already came prepared.
So I have lots of friends and family here. So here in the front row, I got my wife, I got my son, Marlon, Drew. My brothers-in-law, thank you for coming. Lots of friends, family, people that I know are here. So a lot of people, I think I have more people that I know here than people that I don't know. So whether I know you or not, I'm happy you're here. So what is Tourette syndrome? Named in honor of a neurologist. I can't pronounce that. Georges G. de la Tourette, I think is the correct pronunciation. It's been 1,000 years since I took French. Tourette's is a neurodevelopmental disorder, affects people of any age, so it's not just something for kids. In order to get a Tourette syndrome diagnosis, It's supposedly you have to have tics that start before age 18. I do have right, yeah, I agree, yes. So I do have a Tourette syndrome diagnosis, and based upon the assumption that I probably had tics that popped up before age 18 that we didn't really notice. Genetic factors with the processing of neurotransmitters, especially dopamine. So dopamine going haywire up in the brain is one of the main possible thought of causes of Tourette's. It's a huge variety of possible symptoms with Tourette's, and lots of sudden involuntary movements. We call those tics, sounds and movements mostly. Could be mild to moderate to severe. I would say I'm probably on the moderate side of things. Tics can be frequent or infrequent, so some people just have them like almost all the time. Some people have them rarely. I put a whole bunch of examples on there: waving, winking, coughing, shouting, echoing, barking, jumping, whistling, kicking. That's just the tip. That's just a small sample of what's possible with Tourette's. Tourette's is part of one of a category of tic disorders: persistent chronic motor or vocal tic disorder and provisional tic disorder. Those are other tic conditions, and chances are if you have one of those tic conditions, the rest of the world is just going to assume you have Tourette's, because if you have a tic, people just assume it's Tourette's. So they're very close cousins, and minor differences. But there are other things that have tics that are not Tourette's. So there are lots and lots and lots of myths and misconceptions about Tourette's. A lot of people think that it has to start when you're a child and it has to end before you become an adult. That's not really true. Tics can start at any age. And some people with tics have them throughout their adult life, and some people don't. So there is a myth. It used to be that doctors would promise kids that the tics will go away by the time you're an adult. And then some of those kids got really disappointed when those tics didn't go away. Tics are triggered. Yes. No. Maybe. It could be any of those. So some people do have tics that are triggered. I think you said can be triggered, which is a good way of saying it. So can be triggered, might be triggered, or maybe not. Sometimes I have tics that get triggered by external things. Someone says a word and I wind up repeating it. And some people have situations that might pop up that could cause tics. But for the most part, mostly if you have tics, you just have them. And usually there's no trigger that brings on, because the tics are just occurring all the time anyway. And then, so if you've ever watched any medical drama TV show, every single medical drama TV show has like a few plot lines that they all use. Like they all have like the big virus outbreak. They all have the doctor who's has a drug problem. They all have the plane crash, and they all have the Tourette Syndrome episode. Whether it's St. Elsewhere or Grey's Anatomy or whatever, they all have to have the Tourette Syndrome episode or two. And they always have the same thing, which is someone who has the use of swear words. So is it common? Sort of, like 10%. I think that's kind of common. It's not the most common version of Tourette's. I don't have it. I guess I'm lucky that way. If I did, I think my attendance in my classes would just be phenomenal. I'd be like, hey, Larry, how come you have 110% attendance in your classes? So no, I don't have that, but it is a common thing. Years ago, all those medical dramas that would show off coprolalia, it's called coprolalia, which is the involuntary use of obscene words. Those shows made the world think that everybody with Tourette's uses obscene language involuntarily. Well, I do use obscene language, but more voluntarily. That's mostly my New Jersey upbringing that brings that about. But so fortunately, I don't have it. Now, so those shows made it seem like everyone has Tourette, everyone has coprolalia. Only 10% do. So over the years, coprolalia has been downplayed a lot. So much so that the people who have coprolalia, now they have an opposite problem. Now they feel like they're being ignored, downplayed a little bit too much. So, but it is a thing. It is common, and it's what media kind of wants to focus on. Another myth: ticks stop during sleep. Yes, no, maybe. For me, my ticks do stop when I sleep, and for other people, they don't, and that could change over time. Woo! Himalayas, Manalapan, rack and pinion steering, Sufganiyot, Zimbabwe, Argentina, Nicaragua, Hemingway. Hoo-wow! Hoo-wow! Yeah, good, we got some ticks. You know, I was wondering if we were going to get any during the presentation. I never know if I'm going to get them or not during something like this. So common question is, can you control the ticks? Yes, no, maybe. I'll be saying that a lot. I'm probably saying it again. So medications, maybe yes, maybe no. Medications can even cause ticks to go up. They can cause them to go down. They could do nothing. I tried a whole bunch of medications. When my ticks first started, I tried a whole bunch of medications, and none of them worked. I had all sorts of bizarre side effects, and at one point in time, pretty early on, I realized, I got a thick skin. I can handle this. I don't need to try the medications anymore. And so it's a choice. Some people have ticks that are much more severe, and they feel the need for medication, and some people don't. So a lot of people with Tourette syndrome just opt to say, I'll deal with this, and I don't need to worry about, I'm not going to try the medication. So it's a personal choice. I chose not to. I stopped a long time ago. And it's kind of funny when I'm in a doctor's office, talking about whatever else is bothering me, and I tell them, I'm not trying to treat the Tourette's. You don't have to. They sometimes really want to treat it. A doctor wants to treat everything, right? So when I'm in a doctor's office and I'm in there because my diabetes needs to be checked or my knee has a problem or whatever else, they also want to treat the Tourette's. Like, no, I'm not here for Tourette's treatment. We're gonna let that one slide. So some people can temporarily suppress ticks. I don't know what to call that. Suppression. I call it the magic switch, for lack of a better term. That's my term. Some people, the magic switch is kind of a manual thing. If they focus and concentrate enough, they can suppress their own ticks. And some people, it happens more automatically. So, like for surgeons, there are surgeons who just walk into the surgical room to do surgery, and the ticks just automatically stop. And performers walk on stage, and the ticks stop. Kids at school, sometimes kids will go to school and the ticks will stop because they don't want to get bullied. And then they'll come home and like the ticks just start flowing like a waterfall. Suppressing has its drawbacks because if you hold them back, it builds up. It builds up like you're putting a dam in a river, and then you release it, then you come home, then it kind of makes for could be a difficult and uncomfortable release of ticks, once you stop suppressing. But for me, it's more automatic. It just kind of slows down or stops when it needs to most. And for me, thankfully, when I'm doing dangerous things, the ticks fortunately do stop. That's a picture of me doing fire breathing at one of my summer camps. I love that picture. Yeah.
What year was that again?
Huh?
What year was that again?
Oh, that was a long time ago. I'm guessing maybe like 2018, 16, something like that. I don't know. Yeah, so you don't have to take a picture. I have that. We're married. I can give you that picture anytime you want. So Tourette syndrome is different in everyone. If you ask 10 people who have Tourette syndrome, I'm pretty sure you're going to get about 20 answers. What's it like to have? It changes over time. It's different for everyone. It can disappear and reappear. For me, it disappeared for like about 5 years. And then just one day, just no warning, no trigger, no nothing. It just came back. And I was like, okay, here we go again. So for me, this is my Tourette syndrome story, which is going to be different for everyone else. Might have had some subtle tics when I was a child, not really sure. But at age 19, suddenly while I was in college, just had some random loud whooping sounds, and we thought it was hiccups. Didn't know what it was, thought it was hiccups. Got a lot of different diagnoses from a lot of doctors. One doctor did say, you have Tourette syndrome. You know, like, okay, cool, thanks for one diagnosis out of a bunch of others. But my parents said, oh, no, you don't. No, you don't have Tourette's, because they were scared of it. And they rejected that diagnosis. But two very wise women helped me figure out, helped me kind of confirm that the Tourette's was the correct diagnosis. One was a roommate, a college girlfriend who was a psych major, and she kind of said, I don't think it's hiccups. And then the other one is Marla, my wife, sitting right here, who said, I think it's Tourette's. Part of that was growing up with my brother-in-law, Noah here, who I think had Tourette's, correct? Yep. So now,
I guess it could reappear.
it could reappear, right? Maybe would it be good or bad if it reappeared? I don't know.
It's inconsequential. To
Right. You could deal with it. I know you can.
I deal with worse.
Right, yeah. So it was helpful to have other people in my life help me confirm the diagnosis. And then in like 2016 or so, approximately, random words and phrases started coming out of my mouth. I listed a whole bunch of them up there. Frogs, try the pizza with lug nuts, marsupials are in the bridal shop, Manalapan, woo! Happy birthday, Dr. Seuss, hip-hop, shop till you drop, woo! Sweet Caroline. And when I say that in like a meeting, people have to feel like they have to hold back. Like one time I said that in a meeting, I said Sweet Caroline, and everyone in the room was trying not to say ba, 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 right? And then eventually people started saying ba, 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 and like someone apologized and said, I'm really sorry, but we just had to say ba, ba, ba after you said Sweet Caroline. I'm like, of course, you have to say ba, ba, ba after someone says Sweet Caroline. Wink, Martindale, eat your pizza, vowels and diamonds, that's just a couple of samples. Now, people that know me, and there are a lot of you here in this audience, so people that know me often have a favorite tic. So if you know me, I'm curious, what is your favorite tic?
Well, one that's not listed, only a certain group will get that. Souf
Souf there are a lot of people in this room who will get that one. Yep. What else?
He said it involuntarily.
Rack and pinion steering, thank you. What else?
Hip-hop shop.
Hip-hop, shop till you drop. Manalapan, which is a
This is New Jersey.
city in New Jersey. Yeah.
There's one in
Or is it
Florida.
a medication?
What?
It's also a medication.
Is it really? I didn't know that. Okay. So, what's yours? All of them? Thank you. I do have one student in the audience. Happy to have you here. So, what else?
Oh, I was waving to your student.
Okay. So, all right. And then just a few years ago, I started with face, arm, and hand movements back in about 2022. So if you look at that, and if you ask me what it's like to have Tourette syndrome, I've got three different answers, because I started out with whooping, and then adding on the words and phrases, and then adding on the arm and hand movements. So all the time, people ask me, can I go to a restaurant or a store or a mall or a synagogue, church, mosque, house of worship, museum, concert, theater performance, movie? Can I drive a car? Yes, I can do all those things. I'm allowed to go to all those places, and I will, because I'm going to live my life, and I'm going to enjoy doing the things that I enjoy most, and I'm going to go to a movie theater and enjoy a movie, and I might be disruptive, and I'll go anyway. So, you have a question?
Yeah, are there people with physical tics who can't drive a car because of that?
Great question. So the question was, I'll just repeat it. So are there people who have physical tics who can't drive a car? Yes, no, maybe. So for me, yes, I can drive a car. When I'm driving, I might have physical tics. So Marla and Drew have often been in the passenger seat. I'll have one hand on the wheel and the other hand is like in their face, doing this. So, and the funny thing is, so if I have one hand on the wheel, and I drive with one hand anyway. Maybe that's also a New Jersey thing. I don't know. So I just always drive with one hand. I don't know why. But anyway, so if I drive with one hand, the other hand's doing the tics. And then if I switch hands and I put the other hand on the wheel, then the other hand starts doing the tics, which is very fortunate. There are some people with Tourette's who might not be able to drive. So that's a great question. And the answer is yes, no, maybe. So another question, can I go to a library? People sometimes ask me, can I go to a library? The good thing, well, here I am, I'm in a library. The good news is that libraries are much more vibrant places nowadays. They are much more active. Libraries are no longer the quiet places where that's kind of mellowed out a lot. And maybe some university libraries might be a little more traditional and quiet. But libraries are happening places, so it's okay if you're a little loud in a library. But I really, really love it when people ask me if I could go to a library. I'm the president of the Board of Trustees of the Milan Public Library. I'm very proud of that. I'm happy to be having a leadership role in a place where people often think I might not be able to go. All right, so dealing with staring and negativity, that happens a lot. If you have Tourette's and you are anywhere in the public realm of places, people might stare at you. People might say rude, negative comments. People might say nice things like, are you okay? I get all of those. I have my own rules, my toolbox, my ways of doing things that over time I've tried out different strategies and different ways of doing things. My family knows, for example, that if let's say we're at a restaurant and I get up to leave or go to the bathroom or I'm just going to the buffet or whatever, and someone might say, let's say someone says to my wife or to my son, hey, can you tell him to stop? Or why is he making those noises? They know that the rule is they're supposed to say, you can ask my husband that when he gets back. You could talk to him, or you could say, what? Or you could say, talk to my dad. What? Yeah, I know. Or dad. I said it. Yeah. Eventually, yeah. I was getting there. Yeah. Yeah. I was getting there. Yeah. So they know to say, not even to answer it. They know to defer to me because I want to be the one to answer it. People stare at me all the time, and I just let that go. I don't. If someone just wants to stare, they're going to stare. And I have my brain trained to understand that I know why they're staring, because they're hearing something out of the ordinary. And sometimes people respond negatively. And I know why they're responding negatively. It's not something that people are used to. It's going to happen. I don't take it personally. I leave it. I move on. I try to educate people. I keep calm when that stuff happens. Humor is a great thing. I mean, I hope I made at least a few of you laugh, during this presentation, because you know what? If you use humor with anything, it helps a lot. Public reactions have changed quite a lot. When I first started making all these noises in public, I got a lot more negative reactions. That's kind of slowed down a little bit over the years. I think there's a lot more awareness. A lot of times people can figure out that I have Tourette's pretty quickly. The funny thing is, like, when I'm in a really crowded place and then I can overhear the conversations where one person tells, I think he has Tourette syndrome. And I want to reply back, I think I heard you. So, And those things make me laugh, and that's fine. But yeah, I mean, a lot of times people can figure out pretty quickly that I have Tourette's. So I don't take it personally. I know, I recognize, I understand where they're coming from. And, you know, this stuff like this helps with awareness. So go home and tell all your friends and all your family everything you know, everything you've learned today about Tourette syndrome. Teaching with Tourette syndrome. So before I became a teacher, some people discouraged me. As I was thinking about becoming a teacher, before I got my teaching certificate, during that time when I was getting my teaching certificate, when I was a substitute teacher, I got some interesting discouragement. Like, how can you be a teacher with Tourette syndrome? Don't teach elementary school. The students will be silly. Don't teach middle school or high school. The students will bully you. Well, I've done all those things. I have taught elementary school. I have taught middle school. I have taught high school. And I've made it work. And it's not that difficult. I can do it. There are other teachers with Tourette syndrome. I know a bunch of teachers with Tourette syndrome. There's one very famous teacher, Brad Cohen. There was a movie and a book about him. He was famous because he was rejected by a whole bunch of districts. And he got his teacher's certificate, went on a whole bunch of job interviews, got rejected, and then finally got a job. And then when he got a job, he was Georgia's new teacher of the year. And so he was on Oprah, and he did a book, and he got a movie. And he's a really cool guy. And I've actually had a chance to interact with him a little bit, and he's awesome. And he's done wonderful things for awareness of Tourette syndrome. That movie, all the time, people say, "Hey, have you heard about Brad Cohen?" I'm like, yes, and he's awesome. And I've read his book, and I've watched his movie. And so, and I do know other teachers with Tourette's. So I kind of feel like having Tourette syndrome as a teacher is an advantage. I do inspire other students. Students see me as someone who is overcoming challenges in life. So that helps a lot. Initially, some here and there, I've had students and staff who had a little difficulty accepting me and being ready to think of me as a professional. And sometimes there are some people who did not take me seriously at first, but over time, it works. Nowadays, I think I've maybe established myself a little bit more, and it's a little bit easier to take me seriously, although I try not to take myself seriously. Students, I feel like, quickly adapt. Students have been kind and patient. I have one student here. Esther, quick question for you. Were you able to kind of get used to the tics in class? Yeah. Yes, thank you. See, 100% of all my students present have confirmed that, yes, it's easy to get used to the tics. Thank you. So I do teach online now. I've been a teacher since 2001. But I've been teaching online for about 10 years now. ADHD for me has always been a challenge. I've got the attention span of a gnat. So teaching online for me has been very helpful with paper management, because I don't have any papers, no more stacks of paper, and easier to manage files, and easier to manage records, and easier to manage everything for me teaching online. And here's the fun thing. So when I'm teaching, I used to turn off my microphone when I had Tourette syndrome tics, because I figured, they don't need to hear this. I'll just turn off the microphone. And then they knew I had Tourette's, and they knew why I was turning off the microphone. And so I would turn off the microphone, and I would type in the chat, Tourette's break, hang on. And then, but then I was like, you know what? I'll just let them hear the tics. Might as well boost some awareness of Tourette's. And so I no longer turn off my microphone. I let them hear the tics. Yes.
Did you have to practice suppression to be able to do that?
No, I didn't. I don't suppress them.
No, I meant like how do you, as soon as it would start, would you turn it off, or would you feel it coming and turn it off prior?
Yes, no, and maybe both, all of those. And so usually it would be afterwards. So usually when I turned off the microphone, thank you for that question. When I turned off the microphone, I would usually turned off shortly after they started. So, whoo out. So the fun thing is, when I got a bunch of tics happening during class, a lot of times I'll type in the chat, like Tourette's break, hang on. Or even better, I'll just keep the class going because I'll just use the chat to keep the class going. Hey, read these definitions that are up on the screen. We're going to talk about them in a minute. And the students will often be like, whoa, that's so cool. You can type while you have tics? Like, yeah, I can. What? I can type while I talk, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Come on in, welcome, happy. Come on in if you want to.
I can't read either.
Huh? Yeah.
I can't type while I talk, and I can't read while other people talk.
Yeah.
Like if you're talking to me, I have to listen to you or type. I cannot do both.
Yeah. I'm not very good at multitasking. Yeah. Some people are good at multitasking, some people are not. For me, I have developed the skill of typing while ticking, but it still takes a lot of extra concentration. So, another question. Can I get a tattoo with Tourette syndrome? If you haven't already noticed, yes, I do have 2 big tattoos. This one, I'm a math and science teacher, so I have my math tattoo here, which is digits of pi, and I've got my periodic table tattoo here, both of which go all the way down to my leg. So here's an answer to that question, though, which another video.
Is my tattoo artist nervous about me twitching? And then when you say twitching, you meant... I like how you did this, like I don't know what the I have. You know what you do. That's a good question. You had 3 margaritas? Okay, you're a very honest drunk. Look, I'm not gonna lie, I'm deep into this right now. The worst stereotype about Tourette's? There's a lot of them. Some people think that like we can't get tattoos.
So yes, I can get a tattoo. Yes, I had tics while getting a tattoo, and fortunately for me, I was able to still get a tattoo. Not only that, but my tattoo actually won an award. So I was, whoops. So yeah, I was at a tattoo convention a while back, and I got an award for most unusual tattoo. The periodic table one. This is my first one. This is my periodic table tattoo. So thank you for asking. The question was which one. So just 2 enormous tattoos is all I have so far. Alrighty, so we're not wrapping up yet because we're going to do questions in just a moment. So I wanted to say a big thanks to everyone here at Ann Arbor District Library, Beth and Pete and Elise and Ethan. The biggest thank is to Beth for inviting me to do this. All right, thank you. Family are here. I'm sorry, guys, I didn't put you in because I wasn't sure you could be here, so I could have added you. But anyway, so I got my family right here in the front row, and my wife, my son, my brothers-in-law, family, friends, coworkers, students. I've gotten so much kindness over the years, so I'm always appreciative of everyone in my life who has been kind. Everyone here who's attending, thank you. So I really want to hear your questions. Your questions will help promote awareness of Tourette syndrome. The questions that you ask are ones that other people might want to ask.
Okay. We have someone who has a question. Also, let's give Larry a round of applause, please.
Thank you.
For sharing such personal stuff. We appreciate it. So here, you are welcome to ask.
Technically, this is like my 5th question, but you stated that there was a time period that 5 years that you didn't have any tics. What time period in your life was that?
Let's see. We met in '99. It was during the years when I was at South Arbor. So approximately like 2001 to 2005 or so. There was like almost 0 tics back then.
Okay, I was pretty young because I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that was a while ago.
All right. Keep the questions flowing. I want
We've
your
got a
questions.
question.
Don't hold back.
I got a question. I'm gonna go the long way.
Esther, you look so comfortable.
So thanks, Larry. That was a lot of fun and very educational. I
Thank
was
you.
curious. In the very beginning, you talked about dopamine.
Yeah.
And I don't know anything about anything, but
Yeah.
my image of that is that it makes you happy or relaxed or something. So do you feel differently when you're having a tick?
No, it's just the normal part of my day. Yeah. So it's just like, when you have a sneeze or a burp or a belch or a fart or whatever, it's just part of the day. Yeah.
For some people, it's like throughout the day.
Right, yes.
Anyway.
Right. Thank you for that question. Yeah, good.
So for somebody like yourself, that most of your tics are words, even though you described, of course, these involuntary movements physically, do you know if other people have done things that they've never heard of before? Something like that was mentioned earlier was barking. I would imagine they had heard a dog bark perhaps in the past, but it made me think maybe there are words that they've never heard of before, especially the ones that have the coprolalia. Am I saying it right?
Coprolalia, yeah.
Maybe they have never heard those words, but it only makes sense to me that they've been exposed to these phrases or words.
Yeah, I don't know. That's probably a yes, no, or maybe, but probably more so on the yes side. Probably, I'm pretty sure that you had to have heard the word at some point. I'm basically like an MP3 player on shuffle. Any word or phrase that I've ever heard in my entire life could just become a tick. And every once in a while, words that I haven't heard in the longest time become a tick. So the Manalapan one is a very common one. I say that a lot. And the first time I said it, we were like in the kitchen, and I said Manalapan, and Marla said, "What's Manalapan?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm pretty sure it's a city, and I think it's in New York, or maybe it's in New Jersey. I'm not sure. Let me look it up on Wikipedia." But it was somewhere in my subconsciousness of 50-something years of memories that it could come out. So I'm going to guess you probably have to have at least some familiarity with it. Even the smallest familiarity probably is enough. Like, I took French when I was in high school, and I know a little bit of Hebrew. I've never taken a Spanish class in my entire life, but I've had a few Spanish words because I've heard them, So I guess just the smallest amount of familiarity is probably enough to make a tick happen. Yeah, good, thank you. Okay, you can decide who goes next.
I get the blue one or the green one. So I want to stand corrected. Manalapan is not a medication. I looked it up while during this presentation. But there is a medication that sounds very familiar that I can't remember currently. I'll possibly later when we're at dinner. But I wanted to, if it's okay with you, speak on the dopamine question that you had asked. When I was a child, I was diagnosed with Tourette's because I was like 5-6 years old, excessively blinking. And my mother noticed, and I don't remember that. But what I do remember is, I would do head nods and stuff like this, and I was fully aware of that. I believe the difference was my age at which the onset of those particular tics came about. But I grew out of it. I don't notice anything currently. But on the dopamine topic, I was told when I was a child it's because of elevated dopamine levels is what your understanding is. Okay. So I had a great uncle. He's passed away many years ago. He lived to be, 101, which is besides the point. But he had difficulty moving, instead of involuntary movements that you can't control, he had difficulty moving or controlling his movements, or his brain would say walk and it wouldn't work. And I was explained that he had a low dopamine level. I don't know if there's any correlation or validity to that, but as an individual and a child, and even now, I interpreted that as, one or sides of the spectrum. You have not enough, you can't move too much, you move too much. And then speaking on the emotional tidbit of your question, as far as feeling different, I didn't necessarily feel different when I was having tics, but I've also been diagnosed as bipolar, which is a different conversation on whether I am or not, but symptoms, sure. What I'm trying to say is I did notice that when I was having more tics than whatever my baseline or average was, I was also in a manic state of mind. So I don't know, dopamine, serotonin. Serotonin is not related to Tourette's, allegedly. However, both of those are related to bipolar. And if your dopamine's elevated because of your bipolar, you're manic, you're happy, you're racing around. I just noticed that correlation, so I wanted to speak on that, but that was what I have to say.
Thank you. I've got a couple of folks back here. Okay.
So my question comes from a little something that you said in passing, and you had said, "Oh, it's easier to teach online because of the ADHD." I'm curious: is there any known connection or correlation between people who have Tourette's and ADHD?
Yes, yeah. So, okay, I got a slide for that. So, I came prepared. So, there are associated disorders. There's a lot to read. I figured I'd put the slide up in case we need it. So, Tourette syndrome can be linked commonly with lots of different other conditions. So, all of these might be commonly found with Tourette's. So, ADHD, sure, ADD, executive dysfunction, oh yeah, definitely for me. Panic attacks, phobias, autism. So all those are ones that are very commonly associated with Tourette's. It's a big bunch of conditions that are all commonly occurring with each other. So thank you for asking that.
I don't see here in these, but what you're describing to me, and I always thought of, and I may be completely wrong, is that it is somewhat similar to a petite mouse seizure, exactly. So it's like a seizure that comes randomly, whatever, but I'm wondering if that has ever been mentioned as something that may be related. I don't know.
Could be, yeah. That's probably. I think that's one in the maybe category. Yeah.
So to follow that, do you know that when you were treated with medication, was one of the medication an anti-seizure medication?
Oh my gosh, I've tried so many different medications. I am almost positive that one of them was an anti-seizure medication that probably helps both of those. Yeah. So if a medication helps seizures, I'm not a doctor and I won't ever be one. But I would guess that medication could help both. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
thank you.
Good question. Thank you. There are no bad questions.
We got one back here.
I have two questions.
Sure.
You've been teaching since 2001.
Yep.
Over all that time, which is your favorite student?
I have all of my students are my favorite students. My son has been my student once or twice.
Oh, okay.
I have been a substitute in his religious school class, so he's my favorite student. But you're in that list too. You're in the top group too. Yeah.
Okay, my serious question: there's over the last 3 years, there have been a couple of young people who are very active on social media talking about their Tourette's. I was wondering what you thought about that.
Oh, I love them. There's one that's her name's Balin, who's like what? Balin Dupree. Thank you. Balin Dupree on TikTok has really been doing a lot of great stuff with awareness for Tourette's. So I love seeing anyone on social media who is talking about Tourette's and sharing Tourette's. I feel like I haven't seen any of them do a bad job of it, so I'm excited to all the time. We'll be like scrolling through, TikTok or something like that, and my wife like, oh, here's another one, So I think that's great for promoting awareness. Yeah.
Did you go ahead, Marla?
You have a question? Oh my God, Rob, okay, go ahead.
Oh, I have to turn it on. Okay.
The wife has a question. This is gonna be good.
It's for.
Yeah. Okay.
I know it's more of a commentary. Like I think that, with all those associated disorders, like Tourette's will fall like it's like it's neurotransmitters. I would say.
Yeah.
Like, misfiring because like a lot of it like attention deficit and OCD, which I have because I know it's part of my neurotransmitters kind of going haywire and stuff like that. But the other reason remember when we met, the other reason I said that I knew you had Tourette's too is because I went to high school with a girl.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That would say outbursts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I knew right away. Like plus just my family upbringing.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
We're all what's the word? Neurodivergent.
Yeah.
Yes, neurodivergent.
A lot of these, all of these are falling into the neurodivergent category. So that helps me with students who fall into any of the neurodivergent groups. That makes them feel a little more comfortable with me as a teacher. Here's, these two slides. Look at all the different tics that could be occurring with Tourette syndrome. Like that's a huge list, And some of these I've had, some of these I've seen in others. So.
I just wanted to say, out of the list on the previous slide, I'll give myself, I got half of those. Well, 3 out of the 4 acronyms. I don't have ADD, but I have the other one, ADHD. I mean, I believe, I didn't know that rage attacks were associated with Tourette, so I wonder if there's what's the middle of the Venn diagram called, as far as like bipolar. I've had migraines. I'm scared of nothing. No, I'm joking. But I wasn't aware of some of those, so that's very interesting and helpful to understand people with Tourette's as well as myself, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Beth, do you have a question?
I do. I have a question.
Sure.
Real quick, hopefully. Can you have coprolalia and not have Tourette's? Or is that just part of Tourette's?
Good question. I don't know for sure.
Okay.
I would guess if you have coprolalia, then I would guess it's going to be either Tourette's or one of the other tic disorders.
Okay.
That's my best guess. But
okay.
Yeah.
Just wondered.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, just to piggyback on this idea of something being neurological. So I have a good friend that has tardive dyskinesia. I had a girlfriend that had that too. Involuntary movements, they could be considered tics. My friend at the moment is being treated with, I wouldn't say out of date, but just antiquated Parkinson's medications. And they had tried some modern ones that hadn't worked for him. And then, he's noticing some difference. So it kind of makes sense, attacking it this way. There's a famous person, probably everybody knows, Billie Eilish, who I was seeing interviewed.
Yeah.
And she was talking about her tardive dyskinesia. And also she was diagnosed with Tourette's. And going along with the previous slide earlier in the presentation of one of the things, performers, when I said to Drew as an aside, I was thinking it would be more like mind over matter. However, somebody is involuntarily or voluntarily suppressing the tic, if that's even possible. I equate it to any of us so-called adults, where I've been in a situation, or plenty of situations where I teach music lessons. I'm in a classroom with all different people, especially young people, and I'm surprised, as dirty of a mouth as I have, I only let 1 or 2 so-called bad words slide. So even though I don't have a condition, it's that I believe it's got to be that same kind of thing where I'm not thinking about not saying an obscene word or something inappropriate for all ages. I just, we kind of do that anyway. So I don't know if mind over matter is the same kind of thing, because it's probably a lot stronger to have that impulse neurologically, like in a case like yours or other people with these tics. So all that saying, there is a question in there.
Yeah, I was about to say, get the question.
For yourself, even though you said earlier you don't suppress them, have you tried in the past to attempt something to say, like, before you got to a point of confidence,
I don't know how to suppress them. I suppose if you can suppress them, you know how to suppress them. So I've never been able to suppress them at all. So just only in the automatic mode, and only when it's most urgently needed do they suppress. But I don't know how to turn them off. So there's no manual. So I'm not sure. Yeah, I suppose if you can suppress them, you'll know how to suppress them. It's probably the only way to answer that question would be say, if you have Tourette syndrome, then you would understand, and then if you don't have Tourette syndrome, you probably don't even understand. And I can't suppress them, so I don't understand how one would have the ability to just focus and turn them off themselves. So.
Part of the presentation of Tourette's is an uncontrollable movements,
right.
Speak or something like
Right.
that. So I would assume that to control it is close to impossible.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult. Yeah, it is. It is pretty difficult to control, and I don't feel like I even need to try to suppress them. No, I will let my tics out, and the whole world will deal with them. So if for example, the rest of my world has to deal with me. And that's how it goes. So, if the example is one time we were in a restaurant and someone said to us, well, we're not enjoying our meal because of you. And that would be their problem. Exactly. I'm enjoying my meal. Hey, this food's great. I'm enjoying my meal. I'm with friends. I'm with family. We're enjoying our meal. If that restaurant patron is not enjoying their meal, they have the problem. They're the ones that need to move. Good.
So that's bringing me just really to a comment and not a question, because I was thinking when I saw the slide where your mother said, don't be a teacher. And so our son has ADHD, and he is a teacher. And by virtue of the challenges that he had through school and all of that, it, I think, makes him a more compassionate and understanding teacher of his students.
I think so.
And
yeah.
I think all the more so I say that about your long and illustrious career, how many students you must have touched who felt seen because their teacher was not the perfect model of a perfect person who is perfectly, but somebody who is real and honest and struggled and was able to share that and be more understanding of them. So I'm just glad you chose to do what you do, and that you were able to offer us such wonderful understanding and insight today, and all the time.
Thank you.
I have a memory of when I first started at the temple, right before the High Holy Days. Our then rabbi said, there's this great guy named Larry. He has Tourette syndrome, and he's going to make outbursts. Just keep singing.
And thank you for continuing to sing.
It was a pleasure, but I have to say that it was kind of a fun way of learning who you were and getting to know you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. That brings me to one quick story. One time in my school, we do welcome calls. At the beginning of the year, we call every family and we say, hi, welcome, or welcome back. And, what questions do you have, yada, yada, yada. And every staff member gets a list of like 20 people. We have to call them all. And one time I was doing a call, and I was talking to a parent, and I got to, question number 3, like, why'd you choose online teaching? And they said, well, my kid's been having a lot of trouble in school, just had some tics pop up about a year ago, and might be getting diagnosed with Tourette syndrome. And I'm like, oh, welcome. Let me tell you something. What it was just like such the perfect, how that person got on my call list was so perfect, yeah. So thank you, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Go ahead, Drew.
Over the time that you've had Tourette syndrome, do you think your confidence has changed, from when you first had it to now, about it?
Good question. All right, has my confidence changed? I think I was always pretty bold and in your face, and I don't care. And I don't think it's I think it's been pretty consistent almost from the beginning. Maybe it took a little. I think there was an acclimation period. Maybe after the first year or two, I finally became more comfortable with it. But I pretty quickly, got confident and comfortable with it. Woo!
Certainly over the last since I've known you.
I have one comment to that is that I think as you get older and you have more confidence because you know more stuff. So I bet you probably have gained a lot of confidence, I would think.
I mean, I think the
with
condition
age.
itself makes you
Yeah.
either confident or shy. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it might, yes, no, maybe, might make you more confident because, you know, how do you handle the whole world staring at you, right? You know, so.
So I have another quick question, and I don't want to keep anyone else from asking, but you're talking about holding on to the steering wheel with one hand. What if you held on with two hands? Would you have some other tick?
Possibly, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if I'm holding on with two hands, which doesn't happen too often, so, if I have both hands, yeah, one might pop up and do a tick, and then go back to the wheel. Yeah. Okay. So, but that goes to the more the magical switch. So if the magical switch might, if there's like some sort of, you know, difficult traffic situation and I actually do feel like I need both hands, then most likely the magical switch will kick in and I'll keep both hands on the wheel.
Gotcha. Go
I
ahead.
have one more. So, real briefly, just to piggyback on that magic switch is kind of what I was getting at before with this idea of involuntarily or voluntarily suppressing it, whether it's something like you said, doing dangerous things, you're able to, without trying too hard, eliminate the tics, whether you're trying to or somebody like performing or somebody with surgery. But I did want to ask, since I asked you beforehand and you said to bring it up, since I and probably most people have seen the disorder as Tourette's apostrophe S, as if it's either possessive, belonging to the gentleman who it's named after, but at least for our talk today, I haven't seen that once. It's been Tourette Syndrome.
Yeah, I've seen, there's a lot of variations. I've seen Tourette Syndrome, Tourette's with the apostrophe S syndrome. When I first heard of it, the first doctor who mentioned Tourette Syndrome, who was the director of whatever of the health services, the top doctor at the infirmary at college, was the one who like initially started talking to me about this stuff, and he called it at the time G de la Tourette syndrome. So back then it was often called G de la Tourette syndrome, but now it's just called Tourette syndrome and stuff like that. So yeah. Okay, and one quick story about libraries. So libraries are places that should have something for everybody, right? When I first had Tourette's, at my college science library, 4 floors of a building that were all science stuff, the science library. Went to the science library to find a book about Tourette syndrome. Didn't find anything other than one dusty old book that had a few things in it, including Tourette syndrome, way out of date. And my tics were loud. All over campus, people heard me. Rumors about me went around campus because my tics were so loud. And the tics started approximately, tomorrow would be the birthday of my tics, approximately April 1st, 1991. And then, so that was in the spring. And then in the fall, I went back to the science library, and magically up on that bookshelf, there was a brand new book about Tourette syndrome. And I am quite confident that book was there because of me. So it's always great that libraries are awesome places that have something for everyone.
That's true. We try to anyway. Does anyone have another question? Any questions? I was checking online. There weren't any questions.
Okay, thank you for checking. Appreciate that.
know?
I don't know who's online, so hello to everyone who's online. Huh? Yeah. Did we have viewers
We had
online?
like 7, I think, at the most.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think Aunt Ellie and Uncle Bernie are watching. So hi, Aunt Ellie and Uncle Bernie, if you're watching.
All right. If we don't have any further questions, let's give another round of applause to Larry, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I could talk about this all day, all week. How much time? We'll stay here all night.
The library closes at 8
The
o'clock.
library closes at 8. Darn. Security might have to boot us out. Thank you again. Thank you, everybody.